Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you are all welcome to today's class. And for today's class, we are going to look at the glycoproteins and blood grouping. Glycoprotein and glycoproteins. That is what we are going to look at today. I hope you can all see my slides. I hope you can all see my slides. Okay, so this class, I think if you could remember, do that this time around, we are going to look at the concept of glycoproteins. So in our last video, we look at cell membrane. So remember from the cell membrane, we have discussed in the cell membrane, there are biomolecules that are usually found on the cell membrane, which include carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and also have glyco-conjugates. So when we said glyco-conjugates, it means when you have sugar attached with another molecules. When you have sugar attached to other molecules, so that is what you call glyco-conjugate. So like for example, one of those glyco-conjugates, we have what you call glycoproteins. So the conjugates, glycoproteins means sugar and proteins. So the glyco means sugar. And then, so when you have sugar attached to proteins, so we have what you call glycoproteins. And then we also have glycolipids. So glycolipid, it means when you have sugar and lipids. So that is glycolipid. So as I said, for today's class, we are going to look at the concept of glycoproteins. So what is a glycoprotein? So a glycoprotein is a type of protein molecule that has a carbohydrate attached to it. So when you have carbohydrates attached to a protein, that conjugate is called glycoproteins. The conjugates of glycoproteins is when you have a sugar that is carbohydrate attached to proteins, is what you call glycoproteins. So we have a structure of glycoproteins. We have a structure of glycoproteins. So under the structure of the glycoproteins, the carbohydrate is an oligosaccharide chain. So the carbohydrate that are found or that is found on the glycoproteins is called oligosaccharides. It's a oligosaccharide chain. So when we said oligosaccharide chain, is usually a sugar that contain a simple sugars between 2 to 10. So when you have simple sugars between 2 to 10 is what you call oligosaccharide. Please put this on record. If you have two simple sugars to 10 is what you call it's what you call oligosaccharides. When we say simple sugars, it means a sugar that cannot further be hydrolyzed. An example of those simple sugars, we have glucose, we have sucrose, we have mannose. All are examples of oligosaccharides. So in this oligosaccharide, so when you have oligosaccharide that is covalently attached, when oligosaccharide is covalently attached to polypeptide chain of a protein, then you have what you call the glycoproteins. So a polypeptide chain of protein plus the oligosaccharides. When you have them covalently linked together, you have what you call glycoproteins. So what are the sugars? What are the example of sugars that are found in these glycoproteins? So the sugars that are we have simple sugars, we have amino sugars, and we have acidic sugars. So first get it. What are the sugars that are found on the glycoproteins? The sugars that are found on the glycoproteins, we have simple sugars, we have amino sugars, and we have acidic sugars. So what are the example of simple sugars that are found on the oligosaccharides? Sorry, that are found on the glycoproteins. The simple sugars that are found there, uh, we have what you call glucose, galactose, mannose, and xylose. So these are the example of simple sugars that are found on the glycoproteins. And then the next sugars that are found on the glycoproteins are amino sugars. So what are the example of amino sugars? When we said amino sugar, the first thing that will come into your mind, the word amino, it means that they have amino group attached to them. They have what you call amino group attached to them. That is why they are called amino sugars. So example of the amino sugars, please, ladies and gentlemen, get it very well. Example of the amino sugars, we have N-acetyl glucosamine and we have N-acetyl galactosamine. So these are the example of what you call these are the examples of what you call the amino sugars. And then we have what you call the acidic sugars. So from the word, when we said acidic sugars, it means that they are the sugars that contain carboxylic group. They are the sugars that contain carboxylic group. I hope you can still see my slides. Are you seeing my slides? Okay. So examples of the acidic sugars, we have sialic acid and we have N-acetyl nuraminic acid. Okay, you can't see my slides. Wow. But I asked you before I started the class whether you are seeing the slides and nobody. Okay, so since you can't see my slide, please let's rejoin again. Let's rejoin the meeting again. I'm going to send another link.